Hello, everyone. It's Sam and Fifi here, and we're back for another midweek musings. Slightly last week, because both of us we're going through some stuff, to put it, last kind of week or two. So we thought, rather than try and talk about life events and all the stuff that's going on in the world with the stands, it'd be kind of nice to just do um um and our hope is, I guess, that you know that if you're in a similar place, because I think energetically it's quite an intense time for a lot of people. When I know with a lot of people that I've been speaking to, there's a lot of people that are going through the same kind of that we both are. So yeah, we thought we'd have a little kind of honest at the minute, are we, Fee?
I didn't catch that because the bloody signal's playing up rotten today.
Oh, is the internet playing up again?
Just froze, yeah, just as you were saying that.
This morning, a little natter before this, and we've been having some technical difficulties with the Wi-Fi on both of our ends for some reason, but which we were just kind of hoping it would be okay, but yeah, we're still having these Wi-Fi issues. But yeah, I was just saying that yeah, we're both in a bit of an emotional state, and we just present ourselves in all our inarticulate and glory of here we are, we're a mess too, like, but it's all good.
I think I'm the inarticulate one at the moment. It's yeah, it's a real struggle to just be able to get words out that actually match up to what I'm trying to say. But I think it's frozen. Oh no, you're back, or I'm back. Whatever. Yeah, it's been a really intense kind of, I don't know, is it a couple of weeks? See, the brain is still not quite fully functioning because I went off, unplugged, went totally off tech for a week when I was in Cornwall, which was amazing, and I came back just feeling so peaceful. Really, this is probably a mistake, thinking I've kind of got somewhere,
And you guys, no, you don't.
Oh, shouldn't have said that. Shouldn't have said that, should I?
Biggest jinx ever.
I just, yeah, it kind of was like out of nowhere. Just this, and of course, there, you have things that happen like out there as well that can trigger stuff, and there have been a few events that I don't really want to sort of go into the details of, that were not easy, that have definitely triggered stuff that's already there. That's the thing. And it's yet another wake up call to do what needs to be done, is the only way I can put it, because it's always very individual and personal to all of us. Yeah, I don't think I could have done this Zoom call before, so there's kind of a glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel, I guess.
I think there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. If I've learned anything, my brain has never been very kind to me. My whole life has been a series of just these highs and lows that repeatedly cycle. I've spent a lot of my life in these really dark storm clouds that have been hard. I mean, hard is just the biggest understatement of the century. But I think 25 years on, I'm at a stage where it's like I've been through so much worse, and there's kind of I'm in a place now where I know, like I do have this faith that I will come out the other side of this. Like there's this recognition that there's these storm clouds, and my perception is skewed, and I'm processing things differently, and my emotions are much more intense, and there's all this stuff going on. But there is this awareness that it's not always going to be like this, that I will move through it, and I will move out the other end. And and it sometimes it's hard to kind of hang on to that because it gets so intense. But as I say, after a really long time, I think it's good to recognize that we all have these times, these periods, phases, whatever, in our emotional journey, in our spiritual journey, and life journey, however you want to look at it, that we'll be plagued, some more often than others, with these times that just feel dreadful. But I think there's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, hopefully.
There's my mantra at the moment is this too shall pass. And I'm holding on to that with all my might at the moment, because and as I say, there's a belief that that's true. I do believe that it's true. But yeah, it's not always easy to kind of, yeah, this too shall pass. It doesn't feel like it sometimes, but
No, it's I mean, obviously it will
I know
pass.
that it does.
It will pass. Everything passes, whether we want to or not. The issue is the clinging on to it, and we're doing that all the time to the thing, especially actually to the things that we don't want, by not allowing the things to just move through us, and I guess accepting that it's there in the first place, which has made this easier, which I was not doing in the beginning. I was so disappointed. I think that's the thing with this. I was so disappointed to just have been on such a, yeah, it wasn't even a high, it was just this very settled, very present, and just clearer, just feeling clearer about things, and feeling a little bit like my old self, which, yeah, I think a lot of this is just feeling burnt out, actually. We've been in this situation now for, what is it, 2.5 years, and
Wow, yeah.
it's just kind of, it's unfathomable, really. So we've had that massive shift into this kind of like real uncertainty, and everything's different, everything's changed, and then, yeah, with the starting a stand in the park, and everything was just flat out go go go, and in the process, yeah, it's just easy to lose yourself, and to not to kind of prioritize things outside of yourself, which isn't, oh, I think that's the postman. I knew this would happen. 2 ticks. 2 ticks. Carry on.
I shall try and, I don't know, do some sort of filler while Fifi goes to collect a package. I think sometimes we attach labels onto things and our experiences, and I think in some ways labels can be helpful in some ways, but I think in other ways they enable us to kind of latch on to what we're feeling by giving it a label. And I wonder sometimes whether it is just a case of allowing whatever's there to be there and allowing it to move through us and pass through us, and be able to remain flexible and remain accepting of what we're feeling, and being okay, this is where I am right now. Let's not label it, let's latch onto it. Let's not kind of give it this massive power over our lives or anything else, but just to accept that right now it's there, and at some point it will move on. As long as we don't latch onto it, I do think it will move past us quicker. I think something I've learned over the last 20 odd years has been that, sometimes, I mean, I've been given a diagnosis of bipolar, which, I'm still kind of where I got this diagnosis about 15 years ago. And in some ways it kind of helped, but I'm now kind of thinking, that perhaps that label isn't very helpful, that actually, saying there's this thing, and you will always have these depressive periods and these high periods, and, putting a focus on that is perhaps not very helpful. That actually, this is just life. So many people that, we experience the beauty of life, and we feel like, yeah, I've got this, it's okay, I know what I'm doing, I know where I'm going, life is great. And then we get hit by this like massive curveball, and like it goes, and you're like, oh yeah, I've not got this. And this tendency to label it as something other than experiencing being human, experiencing this massive range of human emotions and responding to the insanity that is going on in the world that we're living in. I just think sometimes we've got to be more accepting and flexible, that sometimes life and our mind and our emotions can be a bit shit. But, sometimes it's bloody brilliant. And you got to take the rough with the smooth. Without the rough, would we really appreciate when times are beautiful? If we haven't been really, really low and felt really, really crap, would we really appreciate those times when we see and feel the beauty of life? I think there's this dichotomy that allows us to have this appreciation, personally.
Yeah, it's that
I don't know what you think about that, Fee.
yeah, it's the duality, isn't it? That there is no good without bad, or it's all comparative. And I think, yeah, for a lot of us who do feel deeply, it's somehow maintaining that balance, which is like our mantra pretty much.
I think if we had a pound for every time we said
I
balance, we'd
know
be millionaires.
now, but yeah, it's that kind of I I've said about radical acceptance before.
I love that. I learned that in DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, and it's actually, yeah, it's a really
Yeah,
powerful thing once you can grasp it. It's a hard thing to grasp, a really, really hard thing to grasp, I found. But
it is, because it's not an intellectual thing.
yeah,
It's actually it's probably the least of it. It's not really taking place up here at all. It's very much surrender. It's not condoning anything, but it yeah, it's not accepting something as being right, or it's just the total acceptance. This is it,
without judgment.
without this is just it. It's just accepting what is, and there's a massive release with that. And so that's often like the first step, I think, when moving out of these states that we're finding ourselves unwittingly investing energy in and growing. I mean, that's what I found. It's been this, like, yeah, just pumping this thing up and getting more and more hysterical in my mind, and getting this, we were talking before, this kind of almost sick satisfaction out of witnessing how bad I can make myself feel. Go on, just keep going a bit more. It's written, you do kind of get to this point where you can't actually take any more, and this is where I find this like real gallows humor of mine comes in. And I'm laughing, really, although I'm feeling really incredibly bleak. There's always this kind of weird capacity to laugh at the whole thing.
It's an absolute blessing. I think you've got to be able to laugh.
Yeah, I mean, God, I don't.
Doesn't matter what app, but
No,
good laugh does you the world of good.
it does, and I usually do end up at that point. Well, I always have done, but I seem to be getting there now. But yeah, it's I think the temptation is to think that we're totally alone in our suffering. Like, yeah, oh yeah, of course everyone suffers, cool, but this particular thing, the way I feel, the way I'm thinking about things, that's completely unique to me. I'm on my own. I think I pretty much came in to this life with existential angst. Like, honestly, I think, even as like a really young child, just the things that would whirl around in my head. I remember having school reports, and the teachers would say how mature I was, because there always was this kind of weight of the world thing going on.
Relate to that.
Yeah, from really young, and it's been this kind of revisiting this sort of. I put a post in the group yesterday, as you know, just in the UK group, kind of
Yeah, it's a lovely one. It's a lovely one.
kind of just explaining how I'm feeling at the moment. I'm aware that other people are, and I mentioned that the journey to wholeness, I think I said, is it can feel like a road to nowhere so often, and in my case more like a cul-de-sac, because it's just, I think, oh my God, I'm literally going round this. How am I here again? But when you kind of step back a bit, or you're starting to get a bit more clarity about things, you can see that it's never quite the same. There's always a little bit of movement. There's always something. I think what I'm feeling now, I'm very reticent to say, oh, that's it, I'm kind of out of this, because I am able to speak at the moment, and to not just be like under the duvet. So I'm reticent to say that that's it, I'm done, but I am aware that there seems to be a level of intuition that's kind of, you've been
totally the same place. Yeah.
And it's beyond, I can't lay claim to it and say, oh, I've achieved this, and now I'm feeling, it's actually just this thing that's nudging and guiding, and it's just not thoughts at all. It's just a presence, a feeling that allows you to kind of relax a bit and not feel that it's all on you, that there's other things, that if you can just let yourself give into it, the surrender, then you're going to be taken where you need to go, if that makes any sense.
It does. It completely. I mean, as I said, we've had a bit of a chat this morning. We've been just pouring our guts up to each other this morning, didn't we? But I can relate. I went through and it was a week where it was, I mean, I felt it building, you know, quite slowly, and it was kind of like,
no,
and then it just built to this such intensity in my mind where there was no way of making sense of anything that was going on in my head. It was, I can't really find the words to describe it. It was just this dark swirling of nothingness and everything all at once, just making me feel horrendous and overwhelmed and numb and disconnected. And I do feel like over the last few days that is passing. I'm coming into a place where I'm more like, okay, accepting and acknowledging, you know, perhaps some of the things that might have brought this up, that might have contributed to that feeling, and just giving them that acknowledgement and that acceptance, and okay, that's fine, and kind of, as you say, surrendering to this. I don't know.
I
It's
know.
really hard to explain, isn't it? There is a sense of almost surrendering to faith, of knowing that, I believe, I don't know, you know, about everybody out there, but, and I know you do as well, that there's something more out there that is there to guide us. And I'm not talking about, you know, a particular god or a religion, or putting any kind of label on what that guidance is or where it's coming from, because I'm not even sure I figured that out myself. But I do feel like there's something a lot more out there that has the, not even necessarily answers as such, but a sort of guiding light that I saw this really great meme actually, of someone standing on a cliff, and there was like this big hand that said the universe, about to
Oh
flick them off
yeah,
the
I've
cliff,
seen that.
and then the hand underneath the cliff,
Yeah,
also the universe. That's what it kind of feels like
yeah,
sometimes. Just like, ooh, and you're like, ah, and then, oh, okay, you've got me. I'm gonna be okay. It's a strange thing, but I think that meme does kind of sum it up for me.
yeah. It does. It's kind of with that post. I posted a little picture as well, which was what did it say now? Something along the lines of, when you're, sometimes the universe tests you the most when a new chapter is about to begin, something like that. And it does feel like that. There's this kind of energy, we've both felt it, and yeah, it all you can do, all I can do, is hand it over and surrender, because there's no control really over, you know.
Well, not necessarily. I think
It's inner. It's that you absolutely can control, but only your own.
response to it.
Exactly, not the actually what's there. I mean, that's just, we know this.
I,
Um,
I think I think as well, for perhaps, I mean, I know there's certainly an element of it as to how I'm feeling, and from what we've spoken about, that it is for you as well. And I would imagine that actually for a lot of people who really kind of recognize what's going on in the world right now, and the shifts that are happening, and the kind of battles that are kind of going on, is this sense of uncertainty about the future, that there's, you know, potentially this kind of split happening of you know, where humanity goes, and what our futures end up looking like. And you know, there's obviously an element that, you know, we can help to guide where we go in our own life. We can help to build and manifest our own future, but in the other sense, you know, there's so much that's not in our control, and this is all so new to so many of us. The options that are out there, as to how we build and create and manifest our future. There's perhaps a lot more options on the table than there used to be. And we're thinking, this is so new and this is so scary and it's so uncertain, and it's just not quite knowing what the right thing is to do, or what's going to happen. And I think to an extent, we kind of just have to accept that uncertainty, and that actually we don't have to have the answers. If we're like continually searching for an answer, or for, you know, what do I do, I think we will drive ourselves insane. I think it's accepting that things are very, very uncertain, and that actually all we can do is keep showing up, keep being kind to ourselves, keep being kind to others, and taking these baby steps forward, whatever that looks like for us, whatever we feel is kind of the right thing to do in the moment, to just do it and hope for the best. That's kind of where I'm at right now in terms of, you know, my uncertainty and my kind of, you know, I just think there's part of the calmness I'm sort of starting to move into is just from accepting that it's okay not to know. It's okay not to have the answer. Just to be is okay. To just do what you can with what you've got. It's okay. If that's all you can do, that's okay. There's you know, it doesn't have to be more than that. There doesn't have to be, you know, this enlightenment or this, you know, clear, I know where I'm going, I know what I'm doing, I know, you know, we don't necessarily, I mean, it would be great to have that, right? But I don't think many of us do. And I think coming to terms with the fact that that's okay, accepting that uncertainty, that not knowing is okay, I think it can bring, you know, a certain amount of kind of peace and clarity. Just
Releasing the pressure. It's releasing the pressure. Like, there are no answers. We will not get any answers in this world and through thinking, and there is no certainty, and that's the dilemma. The ones that we call, you know, awakened, truly awakened, and enlightened, and they know this, and it doesn't sway them one bit. The uncertainty, the having to know, and the need to control and try and steer things, like, it's just complete and utter acceptance, because there's not the identification with this little person that we think we are, this finite being that, oh my god, it can get sick, this can happen, it get injured, then it's going to bloody die anyway. You know, I mean, it's constant. How can anyone ever be okay with that when you believe like this is you? It's terrifying, it's horrifying. I mean, it's awful, it's a nightmare, because, you know, even if you have this wonderful life, you're still going to seemingly lose everything, and, you know, that's the problem. And that's what's been the torture for me lately, is this almost complete identification with Sophia in this situation, at the mercy of everything, and frantically trying to consciously create and change things. You know, it's all trying, forcing. And you can even take these wonderful spiritual principles and totally twist them and wring them out of any actual use when you're in that state. So and that's a horrible feeling as well, because then you feel like you've got absolutely nothing.
There's no hope.
Yeah, it's really, you know, you're just stuck in this cycle. But when you do have that slight gap, that little grace period that just seems to, you know, for me, like I said in the post that I mentioned, it was this little whispering, like, don't give up, and that was it. and that's kind of enough to create this little bit of space where, oh, okay, I'll just breathe a little bit now and get back to some semblance of functioning. But yeah, it's very difficult to put into words, isn't it? All of this stuff. And I think we just thought we would have a bit of a stream of consciousness about it today. Yeah, with no further agenda.
No, there isn't. There isn't. I think there's something to be said for sharing, and for just being open with who you are and how you're feeling and what you're going through in a completely agenda-free way. Like there's no other than
here it is.
Here it is. We've both done a post. I mean, I did a post which I shared to the group and on my profile as well, to kind of, share with people, how I was feeling and stuff. And, I think sharing does help. And I think, I said to you earlier, when we see others sharing that they're going through a hard time, and seeing that, perhaps even people that we think, oh, they've got it all together, like, oh, they're good, like they've got this thing, like they've got life sorted, they know what they're doing, to then see them going, I really haven't, this is really hard.
Yeah.
Like, I think it gives something to all of us to see that, we're all here, none of us have got anything figured out. All of us, have these periods where we really, really struggle with just being here. And I think there's a lot of comfort. I know when I shared my post, I had quite a lot of people kind of message me or comment and kind of say, I'm right there too, thank you for sharing. And it kind of made me feel that actually, sharing is actually quite a valuable thing to do, to let people know that they're not alone, and you're never alone. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it really, isn't it? In the end, like I said, it's so tempting to believe that you are the only one that thinks these horrendous things and worries about this, that, but just that you're in this little bubble, and but there is always, we're a collective, this is playing out, we're not we're incredibly unique at the same time as all being the same, if that makes sense.
It does.
And we're always going through this stuff together, and it's quite comforting, not to know that someone else is suffering. I don't want that. Oh good, it's not just me, I'm glad someone else is in pain, but to just not feel like this kind of freak and failure and all of those horrible things that we label ourselves as, because so often other people do seem to have it, if not figured out, then they certainly seem to be further along than we are, or they've reached a point where they're not going through these things anymore.
And social media has a lot to answer for that. There's putting your best life out there on social media, and I mean, I wouldn't say I'm guilty of it, but certainly when I post on social media, I kind of, I think we all do it. We post the best of ourselves. There's a tendency to not put out, those bits of you that aren't quite so good. And it leads to all of us feeling like we're not good enough. And so, I think to share the things that aren't quite so positive, those things that are just like, like, I think it helps everybody. Like, there should be a lot more honesty. I know that there's a tendency for some, utter to be judgmental and criticize and, you know, all that stuff. But actually, if we lived in a more kind of open, connected society where people were just like, yeah, it's shit in it. Like, I just think it would be a much healthier way of living, you know, rather than constantly trying to be positive and happy and sunshine and light and rainbows. Like, yeah, we all aspire to be like that, but that's not the reality of life, I don't think, for anybody. So, you know, I think sharing is caring.
Yeah, I think it's when it's done from a place of not having an agenda as well. So it's because you there are the people that really seriously overshare, you know, and you're, oh god, and it's all very much to get some kind of response. I'm not a natural public sharer in that sense. I do feel like I want to retain my privacy, my private life, but at the same time, there is a kind of sharing when it's just for its own sake. With I'm here, you're not on your own. That feels quite good to me. Without needing any attention. If no one saw it, you know, if one person saw it, to be honest, that's fine. There's no like it needing to be a message put out there for. It's a tricky thing, social media. It's a love and hate thing. It's mostly hate on my part. I have
love, hate, blessing, curse, all those dichotomous words. Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think in this instance, we're trying to use it for a vehicle of good and a way to just, you know, if you're feeling crappy, you're not on your own, you know, and have faith. It'll be all right. You know, as a collective, we will all go through this. And I think just come together, share, let other people, you know, hold you for a bit when you need it. Like, it helps.
That's
It
often the
helps.
struggle, is actually allowing other people to be there for you as much as you are or try to be for them. That's quite a lesson, really, for me anyway. But yeah, so here we are.
Yeah. Unbelievably, we have nattered away for ages and we've only got like a minute left on our
I didn't even
little
that happened.
I know, it's gone well fast. Both just like maybe it's been like a purge for both of us.
Yeah. Yeah, like catharsis. Yeah, well, that's kind of it, really.
That is us this week. Yeah, I do. Yeah, what more is there to say, really?
Not much.
Other than everyone out there, we are sending love. We are in this together. We are one. We will be all right. Hang in there. Like, just, yeah, hang in there. It'll all be okay.
Well, speak to you soon. Lots of love. Bye.